Finally, an RV that gives us the choice of pooping alone or pooping with friends.
Hey everybody, Josh RV Nerd here at Bish's RV, hanging out today with some updated footage on the 23 DBH Grey Wolf by the Cherokee Forest River Division, and it is currently one windy son of a gun today. By the way, look up the origin for son of a gun. It kind of comes from the American Civil War, near as I can tell. Kind of a funny story, but neither here nor there. This thing right here, it comes in under 30 feet. Excellent fit for almost, any tow package half-ton pickup situation. It is a fantastic family camping model that gives us a slide out for the rainy day space. It is now completely carpetless, which is a nice improvement. They've lightened and brightened up the color palette so it doesn't feel so dark and dismal inside. They've doubled the solar package. You've got double over double bunks to give space for, pack a bunch of little kids in, or maybe, two big kids. Works great in here. And it has something that has sort of faded out of a lot of the RV industry, and it kind of surprises me. It has a direct entry bathroom door, which is really handy. It's kind of shocking to me how popular that feature was for a while and how it's kind of fizzled out a little bit. This RV with the slide closed, you can walk from the front to back to front again from either entry door and never have to bump the slide out. It has fantastic, what I call, Cracker Barrel compliant, totally turtle friendly travel access, dude. Cowabunga, as it were. The holding tanks on this are also enclosed. There's also a bunch of interesting little updates and whiz bangs, but there's always really good smart feature and content on this. Like, they go with a bigger 15,000 BTU air instead of a small one, so there's no need to worry about upgrading. Factory standard backup camera, really handy cargo rack on the back. Always useful when you've got a bunch of kids and maybe bikes and all kinds of other things. It's also got a couple things you might not love. For instance, this one is a camp queen. Will basically only be a camp queen. The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me here. And that's the thing. Every RV has good features and not so good features. And I want to showcase what is good, or maybe at least a point of concern for you to help you find your second camper the first time. If you like that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get dug in there.
And this model is certainly not like this. It's been in their lineup for a while. It's not new by any means. There's certainly some other things like it, but not a lot of other things exactly like this layout. They're usually twisted around a little bit, and this one gives us just a little bit more space. First of all, one of the things I want to point out, it is a true U-dinette, where it's not a two-bench dinette with like this little thing shoved in the middle so that barely two people can sit there because they don't have leg room. This is a bigger one that folds down into like nearly a 7-foot sleeper, so that's something an adult could sleep on. And there are two major changes and updates to the slides on these that I'm really happy to see. First of all, they finally got rid of the carpet in that slide out right there. Now, technically, you will see a little smidge of carpet over there. It's in a non-walkable space, and that's just there to help cover the wheel well. That's the only thing that one is really doing. The other thing that we're going to talk about more when we get outside is they've gone away from the Schwintek slide system, and what they've gone to instead, it basically pushed the whole slide back about an inch or inch and a half, so it's less bulky and less intrusive into the living space, and I'm really happy to see that. Grey Wolf, as compared to even its big brother Cherokee, has a small step-up slide, and it also has a no heat vents in the floor. They do cabinet side ducted heating, and as you see, they got themselves a Labatt Blue Light accent light right there, and they have a skylight up top with the draw shade, so that on a hot day you don't feel like an ant under a magnifying glass. But helping curb that, perfect segue, couldn't have planned that if I tried, is the fact that these come by default with a larger 15,000 BTU centrally ducted air system. There are still a lot of other RVs in this class, category, and price point that will have a 13,500 BTU air, which is fine, but a lot of people, especially my southern and southwestern clients and viewers, I know you folks need, not just want, you need that bigger air conditioning down here, especially in the South where they got about 6 bajillion% humidity. I lived in Americus, Georgia for a little bit, and Lord, I learned about humidity that day. That is Sorry about that. My phone I keep on silent in my pocket, but I felt it buzzing. I looked down and my grandmother was calling me, and she's over 80 years old, and she's not quite as spry as she used to be. And if she calls, I always worry in the back of my mind because maybe Grandma fell down, and I want to go make sure she's okay. Thankfully, everything was just fine. What I was getting at, bigger air conditioner standard on these because I've lived where it's humid, and you gonna want it. I do appreciate how they're putting a full window in the entry door over here. It is prepped for a privacy shade. It does not include one from the factory. Doesn't bother me as much here in the living room. I'd still prefer one, but it's gonna be weird in the bathroom. Speaking of butts, this being a stick and tin camper, one of the unsung benefits of a stick and tin camper is look at the kitchen appliance outlets. They can actually put them right down by the countertop line, and looking at that, I'm sure that's antifreeze, but it looks like that awful rusty Michiana water that I sometimes see around here. By the way, that faucet should probably be facing the other direction. Now, moving over here, we've got an auto detect converter. So whether you have a common lead acid or if you upgrade to a lithium battery, this converter figures it out. The red switch right there is your battery disconnect, so that if the RV's in storage, you can make sure that nothing is trickle drawing off of that, because there's always some kind of load. And these also now have double the solar package they used to. It's 100 watts instead of 50, which is basically a glorified battery maintainer. It's not the kind of solar you're going to be able to stay off grid for days and run your air conditioner. It is not that. It's nothing like that. Nor do they have any kind of big Mega Max solar option. They have thankfully improved their charge controller as well, so you could expand on it a little bit if you're so inclined. You saw, I think I talked about the Labatt Blue Light. My grandmother called and got me all messed up. Apologies. And I'm already disjointed enough. But notice the two curtains. This is interesting. The tall, long curtain on the left is dedicated to if you want to privatize the lower bunk. Now, they do not have a full, the bunk doesn't flip up. It's not a cargo bunk. What's interesting, though, is this is basically just storage below this bunk, which makes me think they maybe theoretically could have done a cargo bunk, but they didn't, so it doesn't matter if they could or not. They just haven't. And the ladder's built right in, so you don't have to heave-ho, throw the kids into the upper bunk, which I feel I have to hum like a jaunty shanty tune that a sailor may put out there, some kind of pirate. Now, USB plugs for both bunks. Household outlets also up here in the top. The top bunk window does not open for airflow. I like to be fair. I like to try to point out the good, the bad, the ugly with everything in between. And that is maybe a point of consideration you want to think about. But again, you can, with the two separate curtains, like if you want to privatize just the upper bunk and not the lower, by the way, you'll draw both curtains, but you'll kind of tuck that long curtain up onto the upper bunk. So there's a way to do it here. And I'm going to give them some credit. It's not flawless, but they've got some of the best bathrooms going on in this class. First of all, we already talked about the joking with the pooping with friend things, but looking at the leg room, the hip and shoulder and elbow room, that is some very fluffy, friendly seating situations there. And in case you're wondering what I meant by being alone or with friends, this bathroom has a deadbolt. So you don't have to worry about somebody opening the door and staring at you. Although they went with a full viewing window in this door, and it doesn't have a privacy shade. And to me, that's weird. And I guess, how do you think they should handle the bedroom door, window, or bathroom rather, door and window situation here? Should they just get rid of the bathroom door window? Should they add a shade? What should they do? What's the best way to handle that? Should it just be frosty glass so they still get the light? I don't know. Now, the shower headroom in here, the RV's 6.5 foot tall, which means if you're a little over 6 foot like me, your head's going to be up in the bubble, double toil in trouble. But what is really nice is it amazes me how many big fifth wheels who allegedly refer themselves as luxury fifth wheels and toy haulers still have the dollar store 4-inch fart fan. Yet, here, in what people would sometimes refer to as a maybe a step above entry level, but a more basic stick and tin class of camper, they still have the bigger vent fan in these. It's just kind of proof that the bigger guys could do it if they really wanted to. And speaking of big, that is a ginormous sink right there. Weaving our way around here, I'm going to slowly swing it around like a record, baby. Apologies. The kitchen is one of the areas where they've added a lot of lighting, but because I'm tall, you don't often see that, so I have to kind of take a little power squat down to be able to check that sort of stuff out. Working our way around here, we've already kind of seen all the living room stuff. I just sort of like to give you a little panning view to, Peter Panning action over here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, so interesting. I like the USB plugs in the slide wall over there. That's cool. The household outlets over there, that's a little bit more of a head scratcher to me. Maybe like a standing stick vacuum or something might be a really cool place to put one of those. But I want to start cracking open all the storage, and I think we should actually begin right down here. Notice they're giving us 2 big drawers instead of 2 small ones, and I love that skirted stainless sink. They go with that black stainless skirted sink. It just has such a good look to me. It's the 16-inch Easy Bake Oven. This is not a big, giant mega oven. Not the kind of camper where they expect, I think, people to do a lot of, like, full-time cooking on the inside of it. But that is, once again, that big, true U-dinette. And it has those large, I think they're 40-inch full extension drawers under those dinette side benches. The rear bench, the rear trunk of the U-dinette, you do still have to lift everything up to get to it. But what you can do is you can stuff extra pillows or blankets there, things that you won't use necessarily every day, but they'll be accessible if and when you need them. Also, maybe kind of a good way to keep some things away from the kids who don't need to necessarily touch stuff all the time, all day, every day. Down below, you saw the electric space heat and Tootsie Toaster. I want to give some credit to that simple but effective clutter cut and shoe garage. That is a feature I've slowly seen fizzle out of the RV industry, and I ain't happy about it. Sometimes doing nothing is the right thing, and sometimes just leaving a little cabinet space open to stuff some shoes in is the right thing. Now, if we look over here, you've got household and USB outlets, but there's also this interesting, weird vertical thing. That is a mount for a specific Bluetooth speaker. I think it's called a Drive portable Bluetooth speaker that is not actually included with this camper. So kind of keep that in mind right there. The bedroom area is symmetrical, where you do have hanging storage on both sides. I do like that sort of richer, warmer, honey crisp kind of wood tone there. And the overhead storage here, I like that it's not just an open shelf. Anytime that you have a more kind of radius nose on RVs, you're going to get very limited overhead storage, but at least they enclose it. I want to give them points for that. And this is a weird thing. There's one area where we're looking at the standard series version of this today with the corrugated skin. You can also get this model in their Black Label package, which does a lot of things. But the 2 biggest parts, I think, of Black Label are the high gloss fiberglass skin and the tinted frameless windows. But this window that I've paused and frozen on right here, in Black Label Edition, it does not open for airflow, but weirdly here in the standard series it does. So that's just something to kind of consider. This is one of those things, it might be a deal breaker. And if it is, I respect it. That's why I'm taking the time to point this out. I want to help you find your second camper the first time. But as I said when this video began, that right there is a short camp queen. They do not offer any sort of longer true queen bed. And because the mattress goes right up against those middle center sliding privacy doors, there's just no way of converting that to a true queen. So if that's a problem, this might not be the right RV for you. But once again, I hope you appreciate that I will go out of my way to maybe even disqualify an RV that we otherwise could have sold you in hopes that we can find you one that you're going to be happier with. One of the other really good qualities on this one is the fact that with the slide closed, it's got about as good of a road mode accessible function as you could hope for. The only little caution I would advise you on is be somewhat conscious of those little, drawer pull handles that stick out. If you're not paying attention, they can really grab a hold of your calves and leave some nice scratches back there. Ask me how I know. Anyway, with the slide closed, obviously we can get from the door to the front bedroom, but you can easily walk right through here. You can get to the refrigerator, and not only can you even get to the bunks, but you still don't even have to throw the kids in the upper bed because the bunk ladder can still pop open. And the other neat thing, it doesn't matter which door you're looking at. So you know how there's those swing down stable steps on the outside of these, the swing low stable steps, sweet chariot. Well, those things at a like a storage site could be a problem. You don't always have room to fully open them. In a camper like this, where you can always open at least the bathroom door steps, whether it's front door, bathroom door, whatever the case may be, back to front, front to back, she is, crushing the Cracker Barrel test over here. And while I'm opening the slide back up before I step outside, I just had a thought. I like the origin of language. Why do we always call RVs like she? Like boats, cars? Why is it always referred to with a feminine connotation? Anybody know the origin of that?
So once again, generally speaking, I do think that this one is a good fit for especially any kind of late model half-ton tow package. Or half-ton with tow package, rather. If you check out the weights and the measures there, this one tops out just a bit over 7,600 pounds. About 30 foot, a little bit less, something like that, give or take. I don't remember the exact length spec right offhand here, but that fits very well for a lot of half-ton towing. It's also really nice size where you can still generally maneuver in and out of a lot of campsites very easily. It's not so long that towing it feels white knuckle freaking out the whole time, but it's also not so small that on a rainy day you necessarily feel cramped inside. A lot of RVs do still have things like a power tongue jack nowadays. That used to be something that really is like, ooh, neat. I do still like to point it out, though, just so that you know what you're getting here. And it's kind of funny. The Gray Wolf is now the White Wolf because all the skin that was gray is now white, which is funny because before that it was Tan Man. But I don't know. This it gives me some very classic camping vibes, and it feels like they lighten and brighten and freshen the whole thing up. I'm on board with that. Now, getting you down below here, they have very similar to say like a Jayco J-Flight. They have updated to the new Lippert Quick Drop stabilizers, and if you're not familiar with those, they basically have their own additional strong arm stabilizer built right into it. So long story short, there's the stabilizer jack pad that drops down, and then there's an extra stiffening bar that will effectively make sure that everything is holding right and tight against the ground. Now, if I back up a little bit here, I've heard messages both ways on this, and it seems like they're flip-flopping, waffling here back and forth, but we're looking at the mirrored skin on the windows right there. They originally did that for 2023, and then I was told they weren't going to anymore, and for a brief period, I don't think they did, and then now they're back at it. So, I don't know, I guess they're doing it. I guess my message there is just keep an eye on the one you're buying so that, you know what you're getting, essentially. And this is kind of cool. Underneath the sink space, in an area that's not super useful inside because it's really kind of super deep inside a cabinet, they give us a little miniature, I'm not going to call it a camp kitchen, but convenience center. Actually, this is a drink station. Look at this thing. You got Dad's medicine cabinet on the right for the bottled water and the barley pop. You got an ice maker to keep the party rolling. You got the actually, technically, literally, a hot-cold outside utility shower, but the idea behind that is that becomes a water source to keep ice in the ice maker right there. And you may have noticed how we had that like high mirrored glass front on the doors, but once again, we do have the full viewing window in the door. Again, it is shade prepped, does not by default have the shades. Kind of, like when I'm wearing my contact lenses versus my transitions glasses like I'm wearing today. Today I have the shades. That was, I don't know. I was really hoping to kind of connect some dots there and make something funny out of it. Boy, did I fail hard. Listen, they can't all be golden jokes, folks. We've got the outdoor entertainment center here with the speakers down to your chesticles. And as I back up, this is something where if you've never had a camper, I get it. Open the door and you see a toilet. I get that looks and it feels really weird. Here's what I can tell you. It is ultra useful in an RV, especially in a bunkhouse model where you've got a bunch of little busy bodies coming and going. You could use the little drink convenience center's sprayer to kind of quick hose down the kids' feet. If they've been out in the lake or something like that, give them a quick little cowboy shower, send them inside to get cleaned up in the shower before they go grinding turtle slime through your dinette there. On the back, we've got a 200-pound rated cargo rack. Being fair, that's 200-pound rated before the spare tire is applied to that. So that can be kind of a thing. And if you look up top in the upper left corner, you see they're finally back to including some, at least semblance of accessibility for the roof with that prep bracket for those telescopic roof ladders. Now the RV itself doesn't include the ladder, but that is stuff that we can easily assist you with, or frankly, just get on Amazon and have one delivered to your house. That's also an option. And then between those marker lights up there, you see the Bluetooth camera. I believe it's called the Insight camera. Get it? Insight. Sounds like the kind of stupid stuff I would come up with, but, you know, vastly more successful, and I'm sure they've made more money with it than I have. It's like, whenever I see an actor or an actress that I don't personally feel, you know, very strongly about, my wife goes, yeah, but they made more money than you, and I'm like, okay, well, money's not everything, honey. If money was everything, she probably wouldn't be spending her life with me. It turns out some women do truly mean they like a guy with a sense of humor, because it's literally about the only quality that I had that I think she ever could have found attractive. And if you're paying attention, you know, even since the beginning of the 2023 season, can you spot what is different with the slide outs on these? They have gone away from a Schwintek slide system, and they've gone to a Norco cable slide system right there. And that is a thing that I've seen, like, I've seen Ember do. I've seen a lot of companies move away from that Schwintek slide system. And basically, every manufacturer I've talked to, the reasoning has been the same. They're seeing better service records with this system versus that system, and it didn't require that they completely re-engineer their models. Something, again, I noticed is the new slide system also helps make the slide out not stick so far into the RV. Now, I mentioned earlier it's a windy son of a gun. You may have noticed how I just left these doors hanging wide open here. Let me see if I can give you, there you go. You see how it's dancing in the wind? That's different from Dances with Wolves, but what's going on there is that is a friction hinge, and it takes like a 25-mile-an-hour gust to actually slam that sucker shut. So if the kids decide they want to, you know, boot kick the door open like Dog the Bounty Hunter or something like that, you know, it's not going to go flinging around and smashing into things. The kids are a lot less likely to, like, pitch their fingers in the door, things like that. It's a thing that I prefer. It's a nerd preferred little widget. Now, I'd like to leave you a link in the video description to check for pricing and availability, but also normally I'll leave some links down there, video tours that I've done of other models that are kind of similar. The thing is, this floor plan, it's not completely a Unicornosaurus Rex, but it is a little bit different from what I normally see. So the other links are going to probably be a little bit smaller, but they're going to have some other little sacrifices on the way, but they're also going to have some of their own benefits. So I'd be kind of curious, you know, check one of those out and let me know which one you would go with and why. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.